What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and this is your debrief. Everton 2, Brighton 0. You watched my match reaction yesterday. I've watched my own match reaction back about 3 times, and I must have been on a different planet, to be honest, with some of the things I said. But we are where we are. You say things in the moment when you're all excited and heated up and happy and all of those things. But, John, look, let's get straight over to you, mate. As I say, what was your thoughts on the game? Happy with 3 points, blah, 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 blah.
Well, I think we needed a performance like that, especially after the first half against Leeds and the result against Leeds. And I thought it was fitting that we put a performance in like that. Don't get me wrong, and I'm going to sound like a negative Nelly here, but Brighton had a couple of chances yesterday. I think Matoma hit the bar, and I think there was another one that took a deflection off Grealish's arse where it hit the post. So Welbeck put one over from 4 yards out as well. But I think the way Everton played yesterday and the setup, and I thought it was fitting to get, and Dye scored the last goal at Goodison, he scored the first goal at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Now we have to call it that, apparently. But I just thought it was a better all-round performance. And listen, there was some performances yesterday from players who I've been quite negative about, and I want to mention a certain James Garner. I mean, he didn't do too bad against Leeds at left back. He wasn't one of our worst players, but I thought yesterday he had a very assured performance at left back, and obviously he scored a great goal as well. Michael Keane was another one who stood out for me. I thought he had a better game than Tarkowski yesterday. Pickford again made some important saves. Barry looked more to the player that we're hoping he's going to grow into. He done more than what Beto done, in my opinion, against Leeds, which wasn't hard. But I thought yesterday, I mean, the first goal comes from Barry. He gets bundled to the floor, but he still gets the pass off. And then Dye obviously starts to move with that, and it goes to Grealish, and then Dye's in the box. And I just thought yesterday, the 2 goals Everton scored were probably the first time in a long time that we've scored good team goals like that. So I just thought it was a positive day. It was an emotional day. It was a brilliant day. I thought, the crowds are well up for it. The fireworks at the beginning added to the occasion. And I just thought for the first game at the Hill Dickinson Stadium yesterday, it couldn't have gone any better, to be fair, from the fans, from the players, from the atmosphere, for the result. The whole day all around was something that I'll remember for a long time.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you're absolutely spot on. And I think in my match reaction, I actually said that Brighton offered very little. And then I watched the game back and I was like, well, they definitely did.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of things that sort of stood up for me about the performance yesterday. You've mentioned 2 of them already, Michael Keane, James Garner. It's really weird because, let's be honest,
just before you, sorry to butt in, just before you want to talk about players as well, another player who I've been really unsure of, and Millsy has, and you have, I thought Tim Iroegbunam had a really, really good game yesterday as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, excluding Tim a second, both me and you, at the start of this summer transfer window, we were probably prepared to give Tim more time, a bit of a chance, because he's younger. But both me and you happily would have sold Michael Keane and James Garner. Like, we would have. And look, I'm not saying all of a sudden they're brilliant footballers and that but James Garner and Michael Keane in the first 2 games of this season have started the better out of the other players. James Garner, you're right, he put very little wrong against Leeds. And yesterday, he really, really linked up well with Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, who come in the pockets. Michael Keane was better at the 2 centre halves. Tarkowski was a mess yesterday, in my opinion, and we will talk about that a little bit. But Michael Keane was solid, commanding, assured, played football well, read the game really well, nullified the threat. I thought we did a really good job. And, we were talking and you mentioned about the post and the crossbar and all those things. But let me just give you my opinion on those chances. Let's just talk about Brighton for a second. Minter is rapid, right? He's going to cause any fallback problems. And he put the ball in the box time and time again. And that was against James Garner, who one of his faults is he's just not absolutely rapid to keep up with Minter. But he's not going to be up against that every week. And equally, Minter's crosses come to nothing because Michael Keane most of the time got in front of it, or Tarkowski or whoever. The one thing I would say, though, is the opportunities that Brighton had were actually like half chances. Like Matoma, to get the chance that he does, he has to do a dink over two defenders and hit a volley, which clips the crossbar. That is no more than a half chance in a game of football. It's not like a one-on-one with a goalkeeper or a clear sight at goal. He's created that himself. It was brilliant by Matoma. But you're not going to get that every game. You know, you're not gonna be against a player of that quality every week who can do that. Then the one where it bounced off somebody and hit the post, again, it was a shot from long range that rattles the post, and we dealt with the follow-up again. It's not in the box. It's not 3 or 4 yards out. It's outside the box. It's a half chance at best that was almost a great goal as a result. I thought Brighton yesterday weirdly looked spearless. Danny Welbeck, you know, he's an old forward now in today's football terms, and they definitely lacked that striker up front.
It wasn't the Brighton that we've seen many times, the way Fabian Hurstler sets up and the performance that he can get out that team. You know, he's done it last season. He's done really well since he's gone in there. And we talk about the Brighton model. He's done it with De Zerbi as well. But I just thought yesterday that Brighton performance, as you say, you know, there was sort of the half chances where, as you say, they weren't one-on-ones. But I don't think Brighton offered much yesterday, as in hitting Everton and looking like they were going to put Everton under pressure and to win the game. And I also look at how many saves Pickford made. You know, yes, he saved the penalty, which I don't know if it's a penalty or not. It's another debate.
Not a penalty. It's not a penalty. Sorry,
yeah,
it's not.
That's 2 penalties in 2 games that Everton have had given against them. That probably 90% of the Premier League clubs don't get given it against them. But when you look at how many saves he made, the saves he made was quite comfortable. There was one where he took it in his chest. The one where Tarkowski does the pass back, that was probably the most poignant save he made, apart from obviously the penalty. So Brighton didn't really hurt us. And as you say, Welbeck was sort of on his heels when he puts that chance over. But I just got the feeling yesterday, the way Everton set up and the way they played and around the occasion, I think if Brighton probably would have nicked a goal yesterday, I think Everton were very capable to go and get another one just to make the game safe. I just thought there was some really good performances. And, you know, going forward now, we got the Leeds game out of our system yesterday. You could tell that, you know, the way we performed, and there were certain individuals we've talked about, even Ndiaye again yesterday, was more like the Ndiaye that we're used to. The link-up play, Kieran Dewsbury was also, you know, really, really good in the job that he had to do as well. So I just thought yesterday, even though we haven't got that out-and-out right winger yet, I just thought because Everton, the way they set up and they knew their game plan and they knew what each man's job was, whereas with Leeds, we looked like a rabbit in the headlights. We were just all over the shop. And I just thought yesterday it looked more assured and we looked more balanced, even though we didn't have that out-and-out right winger. And I can't fault any of the players yesterday. And listen, that makes a big difference from, you know, you looking how we've started the season in the last 4 years, where we haven't won a game in August. I don't think we've been very critical, and we're 2 games in and we're given praise where it's warranted now. And I don't think there was a poor performance yesterday.
No, you're right. And I think the only one that you'd probably say, look, he probably didn't have his best game was Tarkowski. But yeah, then equally, I think it's important to remember that. What the fucking hell's that? There's literally, did you hear that? There's literally a man on a skateboard and he's going. To be honest, the only one that sort of made me think that weren't great was Tarkowski's. But The other player I wanted to talk about was Tim, because Tim on Monday had a stinker. It was awful. And I don't think in pre-season he did himself any favours either. Yesterday was the Tim that I am confident is there. And I thought he was brilliant at times yesterday, Tim. Now, do not get me wrong. Between him and Shrewsbury Hall at times, they did give the ball away. But we're 2 games into a season, and this is a relatively new team. So I'd let that go. That's fine. What I thought he's battling, his work rate, his ability to get forward, carry the ball, transition from defence to attack. He got a couple of shots off. He beat a few players. I was really, really happy with Tim yesterday because it sort of, me and you had been talking literally 3 days ago, I think it was, about loaning him out. And yesterday's performance, if he can put another performance in like that against, say, Mansfield and another one at Wolves, which is another team that, in my opinion, we should beat, then I'm more than happy for him to stay and be a regular and play football and be an option. But he really was so much better yesterday in that middle.
Yeah,
I was really happy with that.
I just thought the performance we seen from Tim yesterday, and listen, he hasn't offered that very much since he's come to the club, and I think he will be the first to admit that he hasn't put enough performances in like he did yesterday. But we seen the odd glimpse of that when he first come to us from Aston Villa, and I just thought yesterday, the performance he gave, we know he's capable of because we have seen it before. We haven't seen it often enough. But I do think he's capable. And I just thought the way Tim played yesterday, with having a Resurgence guy there as well, allowed the likes of Shrewsbury Hall and allowed the likes of Illiman and Dieter to sort of have the game that they had. Because Tim, as you said before, you know, he put a lot of work in. He broke up a lot of play. He put tackles in. He was strong in the tackle. He looked to go forward. And as you say, at the edge of the box, I think there was a couple where he sort of took 2 or 3 men on and he got a shot off himself. So I thought his all-round performance yesterday, not just his battling, but I also think the shots that he was getting off, you know, and the close ball control he had, and he was going past players. That's the Tim Iroegbunam that we know has got that performance in his locker.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention, which I think you did touch on it briefly earlier, was the balance. You know, starting Njai on the right, who plays on the right for Senegal.
Yeah.
Grealish on the left. It was so much more coordinated. And I think with Barry being able to cause problems, I mean, straight away, the ball goes up to him and he wins a header. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, he's already put in a better performance and better when we're 12 seconds into this game.
Yeah.
And I thought, between the two of them, how they thought they both would come into the middle, they both would break play, they both would create things. We just looked a different outfit yesterday. We looked a different outfit, and for me, we didn't really lack anything in that final third, which is really weird for us to say. The only thing that I still think we lack is maybe a bit of physicality in the middle of the park, you know, because Garner's not the tallest. Tim Iroegbunam's not the tallest. He's physical, but he's not the tallest, and nor is Shrewsbury Hall. So I do think you do miss that 6'5" midfielder who wins the ball and's commanding. But apart from that, I honestly thought we looked so much more balanced. It helped the fullbacks, O'Brien. It helped with James Garner as well, because Grealish will work hard. Grealish will win tackles. Grealish will battle. It was nice to see that both sides of the pitch was like symmetrical.
I think what it was is because we had Ndai out on the right-hand side, which, as you're quite right with what you say, plays there for Senegal. There were certain players yesterday at certain times in that match that complemented each other. You know, the interchanging that we had with Shrewsbury Hall and Grealish, and Ndai dropping in sometimes to help them out here in Shrewsbury Hall, as I say, you know, having Garner there and Tim to do the job that they do. We're having Ndai out on that side because there was more balance within the team. It allowed players to complement other players. And, you know, as you seen yesterday, when you see the second goal where Jack Grealish gets the ball pinged out to him and he sort of puts his foot on it and then he rolls it out to James Garner, straight away, we seen what we spoke about, or what I spoke about on here the other night. When a Jack Grealish gets the ball, you take 2 or 3 players of the opposition out the game because they go to him. And that obviously inadvertently, that was the case yesterday, because the ball gets played out to Grealish and he pops it inside to James Garner, who had no one on him because everyone went to Jack Grealish. So I just think when you play like that, it's going to allow our other players, when you play the likes of Ndiaye and when you play Jack Grealish in the same team, it's going to allow our other players to have a bit more space and freedom, because they will be attracted to the likes of your Grealish and your Ndiaye.
Yeah, spot on. And then, you know, just to cap it all, because you know we've got a mad stat that Everton released earlier, that in our 3 first games at our new home stadiums, we've saved a penalty in each game, and that is an unbelievable stat. That is, you know, to save one at Anfield in 1891 and save one at Goodison and then to save one at Bramley-Moore, Hill Dickinson. It's almost like it was written in the stars. And Jordan Pickford again yesterday. You know, if ever there is a player that has become an Evertonian, it's Jordan Pickford. You know, he has been phenomenal since he's come in. And look, 5-6 years ago, I remember me and you doing videos. I remember saying, look, I'd probably sell Pickford. You know, I've had enough of Pickford. And he dealt with all of that. He dealt with all of that criticism at the time. And he's, you know, fans like us questioning his distribution and all sorts of stuff. And he is, he's certainly, and look, I'll be straight. You've been fortunate to see better goalkeepers than me, but in my lifetime, Jordan Pickford's the best goalkeeper consistently I've seen, and I'll go as far as saying in world football, because I think there's been some phenomenal keepers in my time. There has. Petr Cech was a great Premier League goalkeeper. You know, I've seen Neuer, I've seen all sorts. But week in, week out, when Jordan Pickford is called on, he doesn't get very much wrong. He's so consistent. And for me, one club man, I absolutely love him.
Yeah, I think we've been a bit critical for his distribution sometimes. I mean, many years ago, I think them long balls that he tries to do, and he tries to find the winger, and 9 out of 10 of them would work most of the time. I think that sort of dried up a bit now. But listen, when you look at what Jordan Pickford is there for, which is to make saves, you can count on one hand since he's been at this football club how many times he's let us down. And this is why he's one of the best keepers that Everton have ever had. And he's also, by a country mile, England's number 1, and he proves it week on week with the performances he put in. He's very, very consistent, Jordan Pickford, that he's grew into the goalkeeper that he's become at Everton Football Club. And as you say, you know, he's bought into Everton. Everton fans love him. We've got a brilliant song about him. And if there was ever a player out there who starts every week for Everton, who classed him as an Evertonian, himself as an Evertonian, it's Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, and it's nice really, because there is a bit of there's a nice symmetry and synergy between us and Sunderland. You know, with little Bradley that sadly passed away, and Everton did a lot for him, and Sunderland and Jordan. It's nice that, you know, it's 2 clubs, Sunderland and Everton, that are, you know, real traditional clubs, got a good relationship. And you know, I'm glad Sunderland are back in the Prem to almost give Jordan that, you know, first season at Bramley-Moore. He's going to play against his hometown team as well. I love those little things.
Yeah.
It would only be right if we very briefly talk about the absolute mind-bending breaking news, because, you know, as good as Everton looked in the final third at times, we're still looking to add more players, and £42 million Tyler Dibling is apparently undergoing his medical today. At some point, it might even have done it. It might have happened. It might be either way. Sky are reporting that it's happened or happening. Where does he play?
Well, this is the $1 million question, isn't it? Because obviously, when we've got a left back available, you know, Asnu was available yesterday by all accounts, and he broke down in the warm up. Asnu was on the bench yesterday, so obviously we're still struggling at the left back, so he may be called upon again. Then you're going to be looking at James Garner going back into the centre of the midfield when we've got a left back available. Then you've got Ndiaye. Where do you play him? Do you keep Grealish? Do you keep Kieran Dewsbury or where he's playing? But listen, it's not just about the first 11, and we all know that. You hit the nail on the head the other day. When you're going to spend £40 million on a right winger, he should be in your starting 11. So I do think Everton started Tyler Dibling. Does Ndiaye then go back on the left and Jack Grealish plays in the middle? Does Ndiaye play in the 10 and Jack Grealish stays on the left? Because you can't take Ndiaye out the team and you can't take Jack Grealish out the team. So it's going to be interesting what David Moyes does when he has got a left back at his disposal.
Do you know what I think happens? I think Dewsbury Hall goes alongside Garner Guy for the time being. And I think if David Moyes sees more of, say, Tim, I think Tim during this season may transition with Garner. He's only signed a 1-year deal, so that's changing of the guard may happen if Tim becomes the footballer we want him to become. You're absolutely right about James Garner. I mean, at this moment in time, he's undroppable at left back, really. I mean, even if Mykolenko, I mean, this sounds terrible, right? But even if Mykolenko was back, as of right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I would not drop James Garner.
Yeah, I wouldn't drop him out of the team because he has put performances in. He doesn't warrant being dropped, but I don't think he will keep him at left back if we have a left back available. He probably tries to find a space for him in the middle of the park. But listen, it brings us on nicely before we wrap up that apparently Everton have had is it 8 million? Is it a bid knocked back for Thomas Souček today? Now, again, that's another midfielder we're looking to bring in. It has been rejected by all accounts, but as a few people have pointed out on social media, they're ever going to lose Idrissa Gana Guy for the AFCON. I think it's January or over Christmas. So, you know, there is going to be a void to fill there if Idrissa Gana Guy carries on putting the performances in that he is. So there's going to be a gap to fill there. And again, Thomas Souček probably doesn't get signed to be a starting place every week, not straight into the team. But it's about squad size, because when you look at the bench from yesterday, it still does look relatively. It still looks weak. I can't say the bloody word. Relatively weak. That's it. You know, you had Coleman on the bench yesterday. Patterson looks like he's off to Seville. If we can get a right back in, so you know we are still trying to bring players in. As I say, the bid's being rejected. We're probably looking to let Patterson go out on loan. So we definitely are going to need a right back. So a week today, the transfer window slams shut. So I think Everton, I don't know if it's true. There was a few rumours going around that Everton have had a bid. Well, they've put a bid in for the Barcelona right back.
Yeah, Fort, I think his name is.
Yeah, I didn't see much of that. I don't know how you know strong that interest is, or how good the rumours are that we've put a bid in. I'm not too sure, but I think it's certainly a position that we are working on trying to strengthen, which is the right back, get Dibling over the line, and we go from there. But listen, after yesterday's performance, things are looking up, and we do play Mansfield on Wednesday. I think you're probably going to see a few changes. Jack Grealish probably starts Wednesday. I think you'll see more of Kieran Dewsbury, because when you look at them sort of players, Michael, they haven't really had much football over the last 12 months. I think he starts Barry as well, but we will do a match preview for Mansfield, but I don't see there being many changes.
No, I just wanted to bring up Everton's transfer window, to be honest, just briefly. you're right. You mentioned Thomas Souček. Thomas Souček averages around 8 to 9 goals a season. Now, if you're getting that sort of player for less than £12 million, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, even if he's a squad player, because you know he's dangerous. You know he's got height. We've seen it at Goodison Park. He can score all types of goals. He scored a lovely volley at Goodison last season, the season before. We've saw him score headers. He's not the fashion signing. You know, I noticed a lot of people on social media were going, no, don't want that, you know, whatever. But he has got goals in his locker. So bearing in mind Everton have lacked goals for the last 5 years, 4 years, whatever. I'm not against those type of signings. So we'll see. You're right. We have also been linked to the Barcelona lad. And Tyler Dibling's coming in. But just to talk about the players that we've signed, you know, if you, at the start of this window, I would have liked all of this earlier. We both agree with that. We both would have liked it earlier. But if you'd have told me that Tierno Barry for 30 million euros, Dewsbury Hall for 28 million euros, Carlos Alcaraz, we've got a conundrum with him. I was going to mention him in this video, but we've got a conundrum with him. But 15 million euros, Adam Asno, 9 million, Mark Travers, 4 million, Tom King from Wolves, he won't play, and Jack Grealish on loan. With Tyler Dibling coming in as well. If you'd have offered me that at the start of this transfer window, I'd have snapped your hand off.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it in hindsight, listen, we've been very vocal on here about how long it took us to get these deals over the line, and we were slow, and there was rumours that there was tensions between Kinnear and Hammond and Moyes. But I think Everton's transfer window was sort of being a slow process. You know, you look at Notts Forest, who can sign 5 players in a week. Everton just don't do that. But when you look at the quality that we've brought in, it's a big step up on the players that were either let go out of all the players that were out of contract, or players that are still there, but these players will now come in and take their spot in the team. And I just think, you know, you add Dibling to that, and personally, I do think we bring another midfielder in if we're putting bids in for Souček, and obviously we need a right back. So don't be surprised after Dibling if we do see another 2 players brought in before the transfer window, whether it be loan, whether it be for cash. But going back to what you say, if you look at the amount of money we've spent and the quality that we've brought in, players with a good age ceiling, because they're only young players as well. I'm with you. I would have snapped your hands off. Yes, it could have been done quicker, but listen, it's been done. You know, we are happy with it. We do look better, especially yesterday. So going forward, it could be exciting times.
Who was your man of the match from yesterday?
I mean, bloody hell, that's a big question. There's a few. You know, I thought Grealish played well when he was on. I thought Barry put himself about. He won a lot of headers. Again, we've mentioned James Garner, Tim, Michael Keane. It could have been anyone, mate. If you know, I'd probably go with Michael Keane, actually.
Yeah, I think I'll give it to Michael Keane as well, to be honest. But you are right. There's a few very quick followers, whatever. Yeah. One thing that we were able to do yesterday was bring on Carlos Alcaraz. And Carlos Alcaraz is probably in a bit of a sticky spot, really, because he come in probably expecting to start, and then he's had Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, Dibling, and various other players also join. But what he did when he come on yesterday, for me, doesn't go without recognition yesterday, because he came on and he was a bundle of energy. He was, he was ferocious in a tackle if he needed to be. He got around the pitch. And for me, Carlos Alcaraz yesterday, he really helped guide Everton to 3 points yesterday, because he took the pressure off. There was one moment, I think it was the 85th minute, and Brighton were really putting pressure on our box. It was 18 yards out. He gets the ball, he beats 3 players, and he gets the ball up the pitch. He carried the ball away. Now, to have a player with the legs and the energy to come on in that sort of moment, say 25, 30 minutes to go, I thought that was really valuable yesterday. So I only think it's right that I praise him for that element. I've sort of been on the fence about Carlos Alcaraz. I really have. But I must say, when he come on yesterday, I thought he really did add what we were probably needed at that time.
Do you think that's the way David Moyes is going to use Alcaraz now, especially with bringing Dibling in? Do you think he's going to sort of bring him on to add a bit more energy and to close games out? I mean, when you look at the quality that we've brought in, all right, we had Alcaraz on loan and then we signed him permanent. But I think the players that we've brought in do offer more than what Charlie Alcaraz will offer from starting a game. So I do think you're probably going to see Charlie Alcaraz on the bench more. And if he's happy with that, then, it's up to him to fight his way into the starting 11. But I think when he come on yesterday, as you say, he's seen the game out. He offered us energy when other players were getting tired. And, again, he's another one you can't fault with the performance that he put in when he come on.
No, you can't. You can't.
You can't even... Everyone's got their own opinions on Beto. Beto's Marmite, in my opinion. You either like him or you don't. But I thought yesterday he brought energy. There was one yesterday where he picked the ball up and, he was in a sprint with I think it was with the Brighton right back or something. And he sort of went past him, just stumbled over his own feet at the last minute. But again, he brought energy on. So listen, we have got impact players to come off the pitch. But I think squad-wise, we still do need to add more quality for the rest of the season.
Yeah, spot on. I think that's a really fair assessment. He won a free kick as well, Beto, where we were under pressure, and he sort of carried the ball out, went up the channel, and got a free kick. So again, and look, I'm gonna mention one last thing. Look, the penalty, in my opinion, is not a penalty. For the same reason that Tarkowski's wasn't at Leeds. If you come out flying to a ball, if your hands up here but close to your head, I don't know what you meant to do, if I'm being honest. So for me, that's not unnatural. It's not. If his arm was out here, then yeah, get it, penalty. But it wasn't. It was like here. I did think Tarkowski's was last week because he leaned into the ball. I think this handball rule is a joke, but for Everton to be hit with that twice in the first 2 weeks is an absolute farce. But what I am actually going to say, I can't believe I'm going to say, I actually thought the ref had a decent game yesterday.
I've seen that referee have worse games when he's refereed Everton Football Club. Yes, the penalty aside, thought he let the game flow. He gave the right free kicks at the right time. He was quite fair with his assessments, and the decisions he was given. He didn't really fuck Everton over yesterday like we have seen referees do in the past. Obviously, apart from the penalty. But it's gone. Pickford saved it, but I've seen worse refereeing performances than what he put in yesterday, because the occasion could have got to him yesterday as well, Michael. It was a big day. There will have been nerves from both sides of players. The referee will have been nervous. He's the spotlight with 53,000 people there. First game at the new stadium. But apart from that, yeah, I thought he put quite an assured performance in yesterday.
Right. Very last thing, I promise. Everton yesterday recorded, my understanding, the loudest ever Premier League noise and the top 5 in football ever recorded. And the top 5 are as follows. Besiktas was 132 decibels, 2007. Galatasaray was 131.76. Fenerbahce, 131. Obviously, in Turkey, they scream loud, fair play to them, good support, no issues with that. Celtic at Celtic Park, 129 decibels. And then Everton's Hill Dickinson Stadium was 126. Now, I tell you what, right, I will put money on it that Everton break that record when we play Liverpool and we score a goal at the derby, because that stadium, Dan Moyes, everyone that was involved in the construction of that stadium, in terms of the noise, oh my God.
Yeah. When you speak about it now, it sort of gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? The noise when the siren went off and Zegars kicked in. And I mean, I've watched the Iliman and Dye goal back so many times and I sent it to my brother and I just put at the bottom, that noise. I mean, the noise for that first goal, it nearly took the roof off, mate. And I get goosebumps when I watch it back. And even now when I'm speaking about it, the noise that the Everton fans made yesterday, we would have credited Dan Myers for what he's achieved with giving us that stadium. But again, very rare I do this because I'm not that sort of person. But credit to every Everton fan yesterday, because we were all up for it. We enjoyed the moment, we got into it, and as I say, the noise we made for the first goal, I don't think I've ever heard anything like it.
Well, John, you haven't in Premier League terms, unless you was at Besiktas in 2007. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and I'm incredibly proud of all of us. I'm incredibly proud of all the people that popped into Flyers as well, by the way. You got to mention it. It was fantastic in Flyers, both before and after the game. I think it's fair to say when John is having to jump on the pumps behind the bar at the after the game, it's pretty manic. But look, just to give you an update on Flyers, they're going to get even more pumps, and they're going to try and get a soda machine in there as well, so it's a bit quicker to do the cokes and everything else. But yesterday was phenomenal. I've got some real shout outs that I want to mention. For Dave and Derek, honestly, he literally come up to me and he said, "Mike, I've watched you since you used to sit in the car. Just want to say, love you and whatever." And so big shout out. He come over to you as well, John, and was really nice about you. I'm really going to get this wrong. I will get this right at some point. But there was a young lad that come over, and he's in the comments. He's called, I think he's LMAD something. And he spent 10, 15 minutes talking about him, his life, everything. And I just want to say, look, you really did resonate with me, my friend. And you'll always have a friend in Blue Boys Network, and you're always welcome for a pint in Flyers, of course you are. So that was lovely. And then I just want to mention one last person, and he's been a subscriber of this channel for as long as I can remember. Even before me and you, John, 10, 20 subs, I would say. Blue Cali.
Yeah.
He's in the comments. And I understand that he had a ticket for Brighton and he had a stroke. By all accounts, he's recovering. But I just wanted to say from me, John will chip in with his bit in a minute, but for me personally, mate, I just want to say, look, you've been there since day one for me. And I really, really do hope that everything is okay. And I'll go further than that. If you let me know on WhatsApp or wherever where you live before the next game, I will come up and see you and have a beer with you and have a drink with you face to face. No cameras, no nothing. Just me and you. Because it's the absolute least I can do personally.
Yeah.
So over to you, John.
Well, that's it, and as you say, I mean, since I've been on the channel, obviously he was there then because he was there with you from the beginning, and he's never been anything but respectful in the comments and nice. He's never said anything bad about me since I joined the channel with you, and I've never seen him have a pop at you. And unfortunately, he's had that stroke, and he's probably been so excited that he got a ticket for yesterday, and it was awful that what happened to him. But yeah, if he does make it up, obviously if you're going to go and see him first, but I would love to meet him as well. So if you are fit and well to come to Flyers, if you manage to get yourself a ticket for another game, come in, and a couple of pints are on me and Michael for you, because you're always in the comments. You're probably one of the most people who comment the most, so it will be nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That's it. 39-minute debrief. Match preview for Mansfield will be tomorrow. It would be today, usually 2 days before, but we'll do it tomorrow. Got nothing else to add. Thank you ever so much for your support. Up the toffees. Is that a good way of ending, John? Up the toffees?
39 minutes. I don't think we could end it any other way, really. Michael won't be there Wednesday, but for anyone who doesn't catch the match preview tomorrow, I will be in Flyers, probably 4:30, 5 o'clock. So if you are coming to the game, there will be a lot of dad and lads there, I imagine, on Wednesday. So if you do want to come into Flyers and get your lads a Coke and have a beer with me, I will be in there. So yeah, it'd be good to meet you.
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll see you soon. Hit the like and subscribe. Up the toffees. Peace.